Nice to see everyone. Um, hey, Digger, how are you? Appreciate everyone being here. Hey, Lee.
Thank you to the beta fallacy.
Very good. Um, Guys, I want to apologize for the spotty connection that I had with our guest this afternoon, Mark Landau. Man, I was really looking forward to talking to him. I hope some of the message got across. I'm going to have him back up maybe next week, and we're going to cover more of everything. I just enjoyed everything he had to say. And Michael, how are you, my friend? Phil, Manifester is here. Sniper will be up in just a bit. There he is, guys. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. How are you?
Evening, Eric. You all right?
Yep. Sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Let me turn my volume down just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
How's that sound?
How's everyone? Yeah, good. Oh,
I was apologizing for the spotty connection that I had this afternoon.
it happens sometimes, you know, like just in Jason's last night. Exactly the same. I think it was StreamYard as well. The chap he was interviewing was from Spain, and he was kind of like the wilderness mountain. So he was in and out, and in the end, he turned his camera off, and we managed to get the information across, which was the most important thing.
Good.
But yeah, it's good.
So
have we got in?
Tell everyone our subject. It's the divine feminine, which is such an underappreciated, misunderstood, if understood at all, or even acknowledged aspect of all spirituality and, believe it or not, all religions. It's a ever-present strain that isn't given its due, but Sniper's going to step up and expose it, give it its due, and point out how often it is found in other traditions.
Yeah, I think the main crunch of it really was that the male aspect has been taken over. We have the father, the son. It's that kind of stamp of authority that we're all worshipping the sun. Therefore, it's a masculine and not the moon. Does that make sense?
It does.
In pretty much every logo that we have for a bank, it will have the depiction of a sun or a pyramid or something resembling worshipping the sun. So we'll start off by welcoming everyone. Hello, who have we got in tonight? There's Manny. Hi, Manny. We've got a few from RKX already.
Nice.
I saw Digi is in there. Didgeridoo.
Hey, Cat. Cat Jack is here.
Hi, Cat. Michael. So we'll just dive straight in. We're going to explore the fundamental principle that's been subtly overlooked in much of all our spiritual discourse, really. We kind of look at transcending as a way, but we don't look at it as anything else. So when we speak about the divine feminine, we're referring to the universal cosmic force of receptivity, acknowledgement, intuition, It's our creative potential. It's our caring aspect as well. This force is necessary to have to be the counterpart to the masculine principle, which is action. The will to do it as well within the action. Logic and transcendence is all part of the masculine side. So we look at action, will, and logic along with transcendence far more than anything else in spirituality. You know, it's all to do with intent as well. But we overlook the intuition part. If the divine one, or if the divine is one, I should say, why do many spiritual narratives feel quite incomplete? Well, it's because it's an imbalance between the masculine and the feminine. Most traditions, they kind of emphasize on the masculine principle, you know, like the sun, because it focuses on almost like a singular aspect, and in doing so, it takes us away from the balance. When that happens, like the feminine side almost gets unrecognized, I should say. It's not as if it's been suppressed, it's just unrecognized. We suppress it ourselves because we don't look for it, because, you know, it's not a gender based thing when we talk about the spirit, because it's an energy that we all have, but we can conceive it as something that we shouldn't have too much of, maybe, which is why sometimes, you know, it's always seeking balance. So I'm going to explore. I'm going to explore the three dynamic powers to do with the female divine energy. They are Sophia. They are Shikina, and they're also the Kundalini, or Kali, it's known as. Now, Sophia was known for her wisdom and the mirror of gnosis, of all knowledge. Her first property of wisdom is represented by the intuition of direct knowing. It's the vibration, that feeling you get when it's the truth, and you've overcome your illusion to what you perceived it to be before. It's the recognition and the understanding that you were wrong, but now you see the light. That's Sophia. She stands apart from the mere intellect, I should say, or external dogma that we perceive, she cuts through that. She's the primal consciousness of the cosmos. Her receptive function, I said Sophia is like an empty mirror, with the analogy that she needs to be still and profoundly receptive to reflecting the divine light without any distortion. So it's a case of finding your stillness and awareness and being in the moment. And this embodies potentiality. It's your potential. Now, when you're in this necessary void, it's called the Anisoph. It precedes all physical manifestation at that point where there is stillness. She's aware of all things, the knowing that requires no language. In the biblical it's the Greek Afrocryptia, I think it is. The Apocryptia. She's described as the master workman. She's the first creation of God, actively involved in structuring the universe. This was before Adam and Eve. It's an energy that was required to create everything.
Hey, Sniper.
Yeah.
Two things. I want to give a big thanks to Jacob for dropping the gems, and Shirley for the super chat. And Shirley said she's in the wings, Sniper.
I felt her. I felt her presence.
The second thing, you brought up the Greeks. The three fates. How do the three fates fit into the divine feminine?
Well, we'll come to that part in a bit. It's
okay.
It all fits in there in a sec. But she's involved with the structure of the universe, as it were. Then she's like almost the breath of the power of God. And that's like a pure influence. So with the mirror that she has to reflect, it has to be within the stillness. And that is part of the path to finding that balance. This kind of elevates her from her role from a minor concept to the very foundation of creation. So we have to acknowledge her at some point. Now, the Gnostic interpretation, she's she's yearning for a fall, and it's often depicted that the very she creates the material world. She is the in between from thought to matter. She allows the thoughts to come through when this stillness is present. It makes her more of a soul of the world itself, and that they believe that she's trapped and that she's actually calling us individually to create our own spark through intuition of our own gnosis, when we're reconnecting to source. That's her job. You know, the practical lesson we can take from Sophia is that the highest spiritual truth, it's not actually achieved by striving it with a force, or asserting it with will, because that's the male. You know, the will factor is a male thing. But it's the receiving energy, which is the receptacle, the receptive energy, which is the female. And it's to receive the wisdom. We're not asking for the wisdom. We're letting it be given to us. There's a big difference. Asking and receiving.
Could you answer a quick question?
Yeah.
Selina wants to know: was there ever a Lilith, the Wiccan sister of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, have an annual celeb for Lilith?
Yeah, Lilith played a huge part. She is in the Kabbalah. She plays a big part. She's the lower level, which is the grounding aspect. We'll actually go into Lilith in a little bit as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the energy force that the female divine. There were many stories of many female divines with the energy that they all have the same strength or power themselves. Yeah, we'll move into that was Sophia. Let me just switch this on for a sec. We'll go to Shekhinah. I always thought it was Shakira, but no, it's not. It's Shekhinah. That's all about the vessel. The second property of the feminine aspect bridges the infinite and the finite. It's the dwelling presence. In Kabbalah, she's the bride of God. She resides on the Tree of Life, and she's the final receptive stop. She's the final stop. Now we'll get into those, the three receptives in a sec, but she's the localized, accessible, and tangible presence of source that is here and now. How can I put it in words? Okay. Transcendence versus immanence. We were saying this the other day. If the masculine principle is transcendence, which is God residing beyond the veil, then Shekinah is the vessel or the vas of the receptacle space in which the physical substance in which Source's great work can take place. So that's reality broken down.
Just Eric wants to know, what's the veil?
Great question. The veil is our perception of reality. Now, they say that there is a all-prevailing veil that is like the film They Live. We are all under a spell. And there is a frequency that's being played, and everything that we perceive is just like a hologram. It's just being played out like a game, a video game. And the veil is basically when you just pull the plug and we see reality for what it really is. That's my interpretation.
Do you think someone can do that for you?
I think we can see through the veil.
But can someone hand you that? To use the analogy of They Live, can someone beat the crap out of you and put a pair of sunglasses on?
This is very much like returning back into the cave with Plato. You know, trying to persuade those that are inside, that are happy in their bubble, that breaking your bubble is the best thing for you, because that's not reality. So who knows? You know, you have to be on a frequency to be able to accept your bubble to be burst.
Right. I think that's the role of a guru. They know exactly when.
Yeah.
And you might not be. Maybe this lifetime you might not be. But
yeah.
And
each time round is another lesson.
Sure.
A lesson learned or a lesson not, you know.
And in the yogic tradition, as well as Buddhist, just finding a guru is pretty big. Whether or not you've reached that awakening, who knows? But just finding your guru is a big step in that direction.
What's my thoughts on Trump and the Epstein files? Well, I don't really want to talk about politics, but Trump was very good friends with Epstein before Epstein, while Epstein was still involved with the Mossad. So it goes all the way back. There are stories to be told even before the stories were even created. So it's a big stage, you know. The world is a huge stage.
Hey, along that vein, and bringing us back a little to topic, do you
Yeah.
think things like that would happen um, if we had not been denied access or seeming access to the sacred feminine? If it was part of our everyday sense of beingness itself, the way it originally was, things
Yeah,
like that
because
wouldn't happen.
it's all to do with intuition. Everyone has lost their intuition because of the unbalancing, because everything has been man-made, and there's no longer Mother Nature. And I'll this is the next paragraph. Don't ruin it.
You got it.
How did you know? How did you know? Yeah, it's I'm speaking metaphorically, but the words that create the energy are actually power themselves, and I think it's not just metaphorically because of that power. Um, it's almost like a magic ritual on a huge mass scale, and you're diverting this unseen power that we we had, and we are no longer even talking about it, let alone using it. Okay. Um, so we'll quickly go back. We're talking reality. We're talking Shekinah is responsible for creating reality. She insists that the path of the infinite runs through the finite. So we give things limits in a unlimited measurement. We constrict ourselves automatically. She should remind us that the sacred is right here within the body, which is the ultimate temple. We create reality through our perception, which then brings us to the Kali and the Kundalini, the transformation. The third is probably the most radical and dynamic of the most necessary power that we require for transformation. Kali is known as Kundalini, is the raw, primal, feminine energy. When a mother protects her baby, that is the Kundalini. She will do everything for it. She is all about preservation. She's devoted to the preservation of everything that she creates, but she is relentless at creating destruction. She is responsible for change. Now that's the most important thing of the female. They are responsible for cycles. The feminine power is all to do with cycles, not the male. It's always the female. Now, the cosmic function of Kali is that she is devoted in destroying the ego, the maya, the illusion. Her appearance may be perceived as frightening. Because of her fierce love for that tolerates all illusions or falsehoods. She is all truth. The Kundalini is all about revealing the truth or finding the truth. It's the spiritual path that runs up the spine when you become enlightened. It's the energy that breaks down before it can build back up. She is the perfect requirement for balance, but not just on her own. In Latin, solve et alagla, which in Latin, in alchemy, solve means to break down or to dissolve. Et, of course, just means and or combine. But collage is recombine or congeal of purified elements in an alchemical sense. So it's the breaking down and recombining the cycle. The process represents a rhythm of transformation. The loss of one thing restoring another into a form. In a sense of a spiritual process, it suggests that nothing new can be truly built until you tear down the first broken structure. You're always adding to it, but you have to fundamentally strip what you previously knew when a new truth comes along. Now, the internal power of the Kundalini is the serpentine, the transformation energy, or the it's the transformative energy that's coiled at the base of the spine. Now, this is the she in this area, even in a male. When awakening through either dedicated practice or, an accidental trauma induced, she becomes active and awakes. She becomes this fire that transmutes consciousness, moving it upwards through your center. Now, it's an internal force to be directed, not an external deity to be petitioned or asked for its approval. And some people are quite scared. I remember you mentioning it when we were talking about Kundalini. People didn't realize what was happening at the
I think
time.
they were going mad.
Yeah.
They just, for a long time, Western society had no information about Kundalini.
Exactly. Yeah.
What did you think
And
when you fell out of the tree?
I had this. It was probably the first week I realized that I was in and out of my body so many times through pain, and I could pretty much step out of my body when it got to the point of the pain got too much. My body took over, and I just allowed myself to not receive the pain anymore and observe it from somewhere else. And it took me a week to realize that was happening, even though I was doing it with intent. And then that led me to realize that the what I was doing before that was actually, it sped the whole process up on my spiritual path. I was always going to end up having this knowing or wanting this knowing of seeking the truth. But I think the fall it really gave me a kick up the arse.
Accelerated the process.
Yeah.
Hey, can you answer a question from Mustafa?
Yeah, of course.
Question: what is the difference between the concept of divine femininity and the concept of divinity in spiritual philosophies, and how can the various distinctions between them be reconciled?
Right. The concept of divine feminine and the concept of divinity. Well, it's all to do with the oneness, but the oneness still has to have a balance of the masculine and the feminine. It's like the yin and the yang. One won't work without the other, but yet with the two, it becomes the wholeness. Any more than one split becomes chaos. When one or more splits and divides, it becomes chaos. That's how the chaos theory starts.
I don't want to step ahead,
Mm.
but I think an aspect of Christianity, specifically Catholics, sense the imbalance, which why Mother Mary became such an important figure.
Yeah.
in, and it isn't found in most others. Protestants acknowledge that Mary was a mother of Jesus, but there's no worship. There's no rosary set to Mary.
Yeah.
That's found almost exclusively in the Catholic faith.
I do mention Mary Magdalene in a little while.
That's why I didn't want to step ahead.
Yeah. you know that I've got a few examples where we can take these metaphors from, and so we only have to look back at some of the stories and historical sagas that, whether or not they're 100% true or not, they still hold the power and the energy of the story that they're portraying.
Right. I don't know if you have
so-
this coming.
Mm.
It occurred to me as we were talking. I was wondering where Medusa might fit in.
Oh, nice. Yes, Medusa. Well,
If you want to wait with that,
Medusa.
we can.
Yeah, we can do that because I want to do a Greek mythology night. That would be quite a good one.
Okay.
I've got
I
some.
love the thought that she's an overlooked aspect of divine femininity.
Yeah, indeed. There was quite a few. There was, of course, the goddess Pharmacia, I should say. Yeah, there were many divine females, and they all had their different. One of the three different powers. This is the key to it, and the stories they portray push their power, and at the time they were deities to worship for that energy. So you would call upon a certain goddess if you were looking at, wanting to have more feminine aspect within your life. If you wanted fertility, that's the Greek way of, and the Romans as well. They both kind of very similar, but they had their disagreements between the pair of them. So yeah, where were we? We were talking roughly about the internal power of the Kundalini. Let's talk about the practice that's necessary with the shadow work when it comes to Kali, as her energy kind of provides us with courage, because this is transformation power. Don't forget, it's the raw force to face our difficulties, painful or denied aspects of ourself, I could say. If we avoid these kind of darknesses, her transformative fire, I should say, remains dormant within inside of us. She's not one to be messed with, because it's part of us. But she keeps it alive until we embrace her own energy that she puts in us, right? And it allows us to see it with the ego death that precedes the growing spiritual rebirth that has to come. Now, with these three individual powers, to fully integrate them, we must first see them at work within the myths and then apply them to our own personal spiritual discipline. So, as I was saying, the divine feminine has always governed cycles and forms across different cultures. The triplicity, which triplicity that she governs the three cycles. So this is the Hecate, which is known as the triple goddess in Greek. It's the maiden, the fair maiden. It's the mother, and it's the crony. Now we all have saying, "Oh, the old crony." But these represent the three stages of life.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Crones.
Now, and we have chromosomes.
Oh.
Just to add it to you, you know. But these are also three stages of consciousness. The crone is like the Kali. It holds the potent final wisdom of transformation. The lost lineage. Females in the past that have carried the flame, as it were the Oracle of Delphi. She represented Sophia with her intuition and gnosis. We spoke about Mary Magdalene. She was portrayed in Gnostic texts actually as the premier apostle who understood Christ's teachings more than any other disciple and on a deeper esoteric level. So it kind of demonstrates that the female power was a functioning cornerstone for direct mythical experiences that we can learn about, even when external institutions try to suppress it. The church always wanted to suppress it, but what the church were very good at writing it down as well. because they had to know what they were up against.
Hmm.
So they kept records of it themselves. Now, the energetic overthrow, as I say, or the suppression of Earth's feminine powers, it wasn't just mythical like the stories. It was an energetic and systematic that was the very power source, I suppose, of our modern civilization. What do I mean by this? How have we forgotten the female divine? Well, like I say, is it suppressed? Was it suppressed, or have we just forgotten? I, I think it probably was suppressed in a way. I propose that the takeover of the divine feminine was with the suppression of our connection to an atmospheric energy, the subtle free energy, ether, or we can call it chi or prana, goes by many names. Now, this is a limitless receptive energy, and it flows through the powers of the feminine principle, Earth's natural frequency. Now, the original violation was when a previously high civilization sought to capture and harness and enclose this free energy and used it for its good. This was using Mother Earth, Mother Nature. It created a profound vibrational deficit in the realm. It had a purpose, and we were using it for the purpose it was intended for. Because it's free, it's natural. Instead, we shifted into the industrial model, mass farming. We replaced the atmospheric flow with extractive, linear, and a controlling energy system or source that we are being provided by those that create it.
Interesting. When I think that we went from uh, caring for the animals that provided to us, because we knew that they were going to take care of us, that they were offering their life for our sustenance, and in turn, we gave them a life, we gave them care, we gave them protection. When we sacrificed that to factory farming, to industrialized farming, uh, might have been the last blow to the divine feminine that was had any trace in modern society.
Well, I think that was a manipulation with the markets. The price of meat was going up vastly, and then all of a sudden they produced this vast amount of mass market, and because it was so cheap, there was no complaints. And it was purposely put in place. I think they banned hunting, so you couldn't go out and get your own meat. But because it was cheap enough, the morals went out the window. But it was a generational thing. You know, you can change history in 3 generations. You can change history completely. When the grandfather doesn't speak to the son, the grandson, and tell you his truth, then there is no one around to tell you what was real or not. So the system is a physical embodiment of the unbalanced masculine principle, what we are witnessing now. And it demands linear growth. It demands consolidating power by violating Mother Earth, by taking without returning. Now, practical integration. Inner alchemy provides us with a final goal. The hero's gamos, otherwise known as the sacred marriage. Now, this is the consciousness of the internal union of the receptative, which is the female receptative, with the directive, which is the will, which is the male, the masculine. And wholeness requires this inner union between the two. Now, we can achieve this by shifting our default practice from a posture of striving to a posture of allowing, all while maintaining focused intention. That's the most important bit. Now, to cultivate Sophia, that comes by stillness and being receptive. You need to set time aside for non-direct meditation. So you're not trying to solve a problem or kind of grasp any kind of concept. It's just simply sitting there and listening, allowing yourself to be this empty mirror. When it comes to cultivating Shekinah, it's all about being mindfully present and approach your simplest daily tasks with almost like a sacred ritual, with intent, by giving it a purpose. And then to cultivate your Kali. This comes with courage, of course. When difficult emotions or older patterns arise, don't suppress them. This is where you invite Kali, the fierce fire energy, and allow her to take a look without flinching. And this is a knowing that you have acknowledged what you fear. Once you've acknowledged what you fear, you are on your way to overcoming that fear, because it's broken the barrier of the knowing that you understand that it was fear. You step everything aside, whereas before you've swept it under the cover, you've swept it under the rug, you've put it as far back as you've put it as far back as you can. But don't forget, she will just keep it dormant for when you're ready. So there's no time but now. The moment, there is no time but now. So there should be nothing. There should be nothing in there. We should have all gone through all of our pain and stepped through it, knowing that we forgive ourselves. Everything that's happened to us has happened to us. But we are here in the now. Kali's power, she's the absolute source of wisdom. She's the presence in all matter, because she's the transformation from thought. She's the reason for manifestation. Where the other two are about being still and silent and receptive, Kali is the one that moves. She has the ability to manifest. By consciously integrating all of these three principles along with the male, don't forget, because we're only just talking about the three female, and these three have to be in balance as well. You can have one more than the other and it's imbalanced. Therefore, even if your male and female is imbalanced, you're still unbalanced with your females. So this is why looking inside all aspects, you're looking at how you can find that equilibrium between all three. Mustafa says, if wisdom lies in silence and pause, does this mean that words and speech can be a veil or a distraction from the truth? And how can this balance be achieved? Of course, words and speech can be a veil or a distraction from the truth. You have to see the action and not just the words. The words will say the story, but you have to observe the story. If the story doesn't fit the words, then you know the balance is not there and it is a distraction from the truth. The truth can be seen from multiple perspectives. You have to defend a lie. Now, integrating all these three into a necessary balance, we can achieve more from a religious exterior thriving to an internal spiritual mastering. It's about finding this key balance. I don't know if we've got time, but I can put a question out for anyone who wants. So, a question that allows us to reflect personally on our intuitive thoughts. So, with these three, the Sophia, the Shikana, and the Kali, which of these principles does anyone in the chat feel like they are currently unrecognizing or uncultivating in their spiritual journey? Out of those three, the Sophia, is it the intuition, finding the question hard to ask? Or is it that you have a question and you don't know how to ask the question, which is the Shekinah? Or is it you've got the question, you've asked the question, but you don't know how to use the answer that you're given? That's the Kali. If there's anyone in the chat or if there's any other questions, I'm more than happy to divulge.
Guys, any questions?
Or we can just chat.
I'm a little interested. I know we're going to talk about this at a later date, but I'm a little interested to bat it back and forth where Medusa might fit in to the divine feminine. The one look and a man is turned to stone. Is that fear induced?
Well, we could talk about her metaphorically. She was used for a certain thing. What was her outcome?
Did she have an outcome?
She did indeed. She was the one that saved the Kraken, saved the princess of being sacrificed at the time to the Kraken. And Jason managed to, with Perseus, get hold of Medusa, and he flew in front of the Kraken and produced Medusa out of his bag, which turned it into stone. So they actually used her wickedness, her evil powers for good.
I'd like to think of that archetypally, and how someone could apply that archetype into their lives.
It means that everything isn't on the surface what we first think. I don't want to tell too much because she's got a very interesting story.
Right. You want to answer a question from Mustafa?
Yeah.
Let me pin it for you. What meditative or contemplative practice do you recommend for learning how to cultivate wisdom diffused in silence? And how can one distinguish between purposeful silence?
Well, it is all done through intent. You have to set your scene. You can be pretty much, I wouldn't say in the heart of town. It wouldn't work very well sitting outside a cafe in the heart of, a town square. But just somewhere out the way and just allow silence. And the moment something comes into you, just allow it to just go. And it's a case of, with intent, allowing it to go. Give it that time to go. And maybe another thought will come through and you think, oh, why the hell am I thinking this? Just allow it to go. And then after about 4 or 5 minutes, without that next thought that comes through, you understand that silence, you can find that silence at any time. And you have created that silence just for yourself, for no one else. When you've got to this state maybe 20 times, you get to the point of where you can ask yourself these questions in this space. And the thought that comes that precedes that question, you get a vibration as an answer. And you have to work out what that vibration is. But you will know straight away, like the hairs that stand on the back of your neck. When you know something is an absolute truth. You're so excited because you now know it's true. You get these feelings as an answer for the questions you put out. That's how I use my silence. What else have we got? Let's just see. All Pop-Tart's nearly gone live.
51 subs right now.
He's got 51. Hey, has he hit the button already? Does he know about the 24-hour?
Right. I think so. Let's double check. This is his
If it's his fourth channel, then yeah, he should know.
But that's a good thing to remember. Pop-Tarts, make sure that you get it activated so you can go live. Looking forward. Make sure you if you think about it, tag us when you go live. We can show up and be there to support you.
Yeah, have his premiere. That'll be good.
Yeah. So this was one of my favorite discussions. I like all of the ones, but I have a very invested interest in the sacred and the divine feminine. My own experiences, again dating back to the 1980s, listening to Paramahansa Yogananda talk in his lectures, tapes that I had, reading his books, invoking the presence of the divine feminine. And even as a kid, I would much rather have said the Rosary, Hail Mary, than the Lord's Prayer. It felt more personal, more protective.
It was the mothering. It was the wholesome aspect
Right.
of the feminine that came through. Whereas everything else seems very domineering in the prayers.
Right. And Jesus, in my early days, Catholic school, was a very stern figure.
Yeah.
Later,
Yeah.
Jesus, the symbol, became a very loving presence. But it took a while, and I think it took the softening that came from Mary to get me to that point with Jesus. Fred has a question for you. First off, Michael says, "Great live, Yogi and Sniper." Thank you, Michael.
Cheers, Michael.
Fred's question is, you got it.
The question in the Garden of Eden: how long was the serpent with Eve before Adam found her? Well, Eve was created from Adam. It never mentions in the Bible how long the serpent spoke with Eve, but Adam was created on the 40th day, if I remember rightly, and Eve was created from Adam's rib on the 80th day.
Hey, how was Lilith created? Directly by God or from Adam?
No, it wasn't from Adam, no, not at all.
So directly from God.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you make of that?
Again, the female divine through Lilith, which again is Sophia. From my knowledge, Sophia and Lilith may possibly be the same, if not Lilith is Sophia, Shanak, and Kali together.
I like that. I like that thought a lot.
Yeah.
So there's just the divine feminine in
Exactly.
manifesting aspects.
Yeah.
The
But
same as
with
there's
a
only
balance. With a balance.
right. The same as Shiva.
Yeah.
There's just Shiva. There's Shakti. And actually, we think of that. We think the Tao Te Ching. We think the yin and yang are two things that come together, but actually they're aspects of one thing that entwine together.
That's what I said. You know, a baby, no matter if it's boy or girl, requires a boy or a girl. You know.
Right.
So, Mustafa, if hard wisdom is manifested in silence, can the desire to distinguish it from purposeful silence be considered a cognitive obstacle in itself? No, because it's to do with intent. And your cognitive dissonance is your protective system that is attached to the ego. Now you are transcending your ego to allow your intent for this silence to be receptive. The cognitive distance would not allow any receptive thoughts. And if they are, they wouldn't be the truth. They would be anything but the truth. That's what cognitive does.
You still with us, Mustafa?
The book says for 1 month are several years. Well, I think it was in. It's one of the lost books that it was 7 years before she bit the apple. So Adam was created in 40 days. Eve was created 40 days after. Yet they were in the Garden of Eve, of Eden, and Eden is paradise. And the translation of paradise is walled garden. So it was a fortified, I should say, place. Why would paradise have to be fortified? Just another question to ask.
Right. Miss Flipper says, wasn't Lilith given the boot from the Pentateuch? Oh, no, I pronounced that wrong.
Pentateuch. Don't know that, Miss Flipper. I know that she was eradicated.
Oh, but she meant the Old Testament. Yes. Is she mentioned at all in the Old Testament?
I think she is mentioned. I mean, this is why when I was at school many moons ago, I asked my scripture teacher why we were not reading the Old Testament first. It just comes first in the Bible. Why would we not be reading the Old Testament? And of course, if you were to go a bit further than just Genesis, you would indiscriminately understand what kind of God is in the Old Testament. This God is a mass murdering genocide entity that is hell bent on wiping out vast numbers of civilizations. And then we come to the New Testament and he's all loving. Yet these are supposed to be the same entity. So that got me thinking, from the age of about 8 years old, when I got that chalkboard eraser thrown at me.
So the first 5 books of the Old Testament.
How dare I ask questions in a scripture class?
Similar experience in my religion classes. Catholic school. It wasn't religion class. It was how to only believe the Christian faith, particularly Catholic. I'm not sure why they called it religion.
It's interesting the Templars that arrived. I've forgot to ask Miss Blipper. Does Miss Blipper know that the Templars marched through the Vatican in September? Did she see the parade, or did she see any news reports on the parade while she was doing her shopping? 700 years since they'd been marching through. Now, whether or not it was just a stage show or pantomime, but it's very significant because for 700 years they have been persecuted, hunted down by the Pope because they hold the original Christian Gnostic texts, and they handed over some relics to the Vatican, which probably wasn't a very good idea. But I think we will see a rise of the Vatican like we have not seen in many years.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think this has all come at a time where a lot of people had expected it as well. Yeah.
Be interesting to look what maybe Nostradamus or Edgar Casey or some of the other his name fairly recent Cooper. He wrote "Behold the
Bill
Pale
Cooper.
Horse."
Yeah, Bill Cooper. William Cooper. Yeah. Well, Jason from Archaics was he sent one of his books to Bill Cooper, and Bill Cooper read it, and he was about to do an interview with Jason.
Passed away, right?
And then he passed away. Yeah. But Jason's his publisher, he's the same publisher as Bill. And
That's
so that kind of
parallel press, parallax.
Yeah, parallax, yeah.
Right.
And so yeah, there's a lot of truth seeking in the gnosis, you know.
Right.
And that's even just looking back at our historical timeline, you know, and how everything fits into events.
Hey, before we wrap things up, if I could throw out one more idea for you, we haven't discussed yet. Secret societies. You were talking about the Templars, and it just something clicked that would be an awesome topic for you.
Yep. Secret societies. Well, the Knights Templars, when they were banished 700 years ago, funny enough, around about the 1400s, they were on their way back from the east, and the relics that they brought back from Jerusalem and everything, they hid in Portugal, and they hid in Turkey, they hid in France, all over this kind of, especially Portugal. They aimed for Portugal because it was a port, and they became pirates. They were the pirates with the skull and crossbones. Now, the skull and crossbones are part of the Freemasonic society with the 322 symbology that adjoins to it. 322. And I think a lot of Harvard, that come out of Harvard, maybe Yale as well, they will be potentially skull and crossbone members.
Hey,
You'll
Digger
find that.
says, Squirrel Sniper, wasn't that Jordan Maxwell? He died before he and Jason had an interview.
No, it was Bill Cooper. It was Cooper himself, William Cooper. But yes, he knew Jordan Maxwell as well. There's
And
it's that community of Gnostics that are just searching for truth. Even if it's to do with the government, even if it's to do with behind the scenes,
right. And one last question from Fred, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Where was it? Oh, did the serpent eat from the tree of knowledge?
Did the serpent eat from the tree of knowledge? Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't have thought the serpent would have had to have eaten anything.
That's what I said.
Hmm.
The serpent wasn't interested in, metaphorically, sticking with metaphor from biblical
Yeah.
thought. The serpent would have no interest in knowledge.
No, it's just there to deceive. It's there to trigger, the metaphor.
Right. But from a shamanic answer, hey, Dolly. She says, I love you, squirrel.
Sorry,
from
Cat.
from a shamanic metaphor.
She's gone to bed anyway. She would have gone to bed by now.
She went to bed, yeah. From a shamanic
Love you
metaphor,
too.
the again, the serpent wouldn't have to eat because the serpent would be the embodiment of knowledge itself, the knowledge of Earth, of being so close to the Earth.
Yep, it's being right on its belly.
Yep. What I love about metaphors is we can use it, much like the two aspects of the mind in A Course in Miracles. We can choose how the metaphor works for us. Does the metaphor of a serpent offering Eve a fruit that was the downfall of mankind, or does it imprison us? Does the shamanic aspect of, like you said, the snake being of the earth, on the belly, intimate with the earth?
Yeah.
What a much better metaphor that actually serves.
Yep, absolutely.
One can free us, one can imprison. With
The
that
dualistic.
With that note, I do want to offer that Esoteric Lounge, as presented by Squirrel Sniper, is a means of opening the prison doors, inviting everyone to step in. You don't have to believe everything. You don't have to embrace it. But if you think about it, let's go beyond thinking. If you contemplate it, you're going to find what works for you, and you will find a means to gain the freedom that's being offered. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah. It's it's been great.
Yep. Always. One note for tomorrow. My live stream might be at, brace yourself, it might be at 1:30 instead of 1 o'clock.
No worries.
Something never done before.
Breaking pattern. Something's going to happen. Something's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It's actually breaking a big pattern. I'm being interviewed by James Plath at the Institute of Advanced Astonishment, and I did not think I was ready. But thank you. Actually, you helped encourage me, and of course, Kat. So,
will you be recording it and putting it as a premiere, perhaps?
He's gonna offer it as a premiere. So I don't know how soon. I think this either the same day, a couple hours after, or the day after.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be great. Yeah.
Little nervous.
Well,
on the other side of the aisle, and
it just shows you're ready then.
And then I have another one next week. The Miracle Mind Cafe from Bikini Wild, who is she has done interviews with some of the big names from Course in Miracles and the consciousness community. So quite an honor to even be. No idea why they want to talk to me, except I think they needed a bald guy to represent. That's my workable theory right now.
You're the man for it.
I got the hair for it.
You got the hair.
Yeah, you need a bald guy. I'll step up. I'll get the job done. Thank you, Fred. Fred, you're such a good guy. Let's see. Digger says, "Thank you, Just Yogi and Squirrel Sniper."
Thank you.
Dolly said, "Open my prison doors."
The
It
key's
said-
already there.
That's what you do. Let people know the key's there.
Key's already there. Help
Yep.
yourself. You imagine that the door's already closed because you've called it a prison. The prison has to have a door closed, otherwise it shouldn't be a prison. It's in the words. You know, if you think you're in a prison, then you've already got the key. Or just don't be in a prison.
There you go. It is a choice. Before we head out for the night, our friend Heavenly is going through a rough time. We're going to ring the bell.
Yes.
Hey, Nematos. Heavenly, this is for you,
I'm
my
gonna
friend.
change it up.
Prayers and
Good
love
to see
going out.
things. Hi, Indy. That's whole media,
Oh, cool.
holistic media.
Thanks for being here, my friend. Heavenly, sorry,
That's lovely.
reach out to me an email if you'd like. All right, I'm gonna head to bed. Sniper,
Have a
thank you
good
again.
night.
Much
Thanks
appreciated.
everyone for turning up and listening.
We're heading out. I will see everyone tomorrow, 5 in the morning. And if I can make it at 1, I'll be here at 1. If not, it's going to be 1:30. I can't imagine talking for 2 hours. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know. Love you all. Take care. See you,
Take care.
Sniper.
Night all.